Welcome to a special Graymason Gaming plays Neptunes Pride on the Capitaja Posterior game. This is a game where I spawned in the northeast section of the map, 64-player game. And I'm going to do this video a little bit differently. A lot of times I do a daily diary where I try to capture what happens day by day by day. The game's over. I used the time machine to capture all of it, and I'm going to try to do it in one sitting to see if this is helpful at all. This is a game that, in my mind, is helpful to talk through how to handle situations where you spawn in an area without a lot of other strong players to ally with. And so let's dive into that. We're picking up late into cycle 1 because, quite honestly, nothing really happens. So I am here, Graymason, and at this point in the game, I am already 13 stars, leader's 15, so I'm doing fine. And my southern neighbor is Blades of Samum, we'll call them Blades. We have Wagjacker, and we have Misco. And I had good responses from both my orange players, but I heard nothing from Blades. He never replied. And so when I was doing my early rounds, I noticed that I could get to this star before him, and I did. And I knew that I could get and blow his ships up. I also saw that he only had 2 carriers, and if I took out one of them, I would be in really good shape. So I said, let's take an aggressive stance with this player. Now with Jack, I saw this star rat from the very beginning, and I knew I wanted this one, and I negotiated this, and he basically said, you know what, he wanted these other stars, I could have this one, even though he could have got there first. He should have taken it, but the fact that he didn't was great for me, because not only was this one good, but all of these were good. So it's a player that is less experienced, and you can tell by, already at this time of the game, I'm at 21-10 and he's at 7-7 in terms of economy and industry. So I wanted to be helpful, but again, not strong allies. This player here, Misco, was super friendly and invested in science early on. And if I look beyond here, I had Ugly Feminist, Lord Seo, Nexo, players that didn't have a lot of badges or victories. I didn't really know who they were. This player, Seth, was good. I reached out to them and we said, hey, maybe we can connect up later. But there really wasn't anything this way. And when I look down here, same thing. There really wasn't anyone. This person said they would maybe work with me. But this is a game where I was fairly isolated. And so I said, okay, if you're not going to have strong allies by you, what you need to do is make yourself strong and be as greedy as possible and make yourself an asset to the second strongest alliance in the game. And so that was my mindset, is get fat, get greedy, get big, so that I could be the king of the Northeast. And then as other alliances started to form, they would want to bring me on board, because I wasn't going to have a lot of friends. And so let's go ahead and see how I played this out. So really, yeah, that was the beginning. And so as we start to look through what happened here, you can see that I went ahead and blew that up. I had good vision. There was really nothing going on. And so I'm like, you know what, let me take this good star. Let me go down here and get some vision of what's going on. Let me go ahead and get this cluster of stars and just put some defensive units up there. So that was what was happening. And then you can see I continued. Now this is at the end of cycle 1. I still had gotten no response, and so I assumed that he's going to go AFK. And so I looked for what could I do to get vision, to get position where he wouldn't have units yet. I didn't worry about this because this star wasn't going to do anything, but this would get me 2 more, if nothing else, 20 credits. And so I made a kind of a bold play there while I was capturing the rest of the stars. And you can see it paid off. At this point, he went AFK. And so I'm like, okay, great. I have full vision. I see everything. I was sending down the ships from my from my home star. I was a little bit worried, but I built up some strong economy over here. And you could see I was fairly, double his industry and in much better shape. And when you look at the leaderboard, already at this point in time, cycle 2, I was top of the leaderboard because of my rapid expansion here and my greed over here and my kind neighbors who were being friendly with me. So we are in cycle 2. And at this point now, it's really just about taking him out. I knew that's what I needed to do because I had good relationships up here. I thought the oranges were going to attack each other, but then the ugly feminists started to attack, and that drew their attention, so that was great. So if we go back into what I was doing, now we're looking into cycle 3. He made a play to push up in here. I timed it up to be able to block him. Again, that's where you have to be paying attention, understanding the AI only moves every 4 turns. Yeah, at this point, let me go back. So here's what he did. I had my big ships come down, and I saw that he just made this move, and so I could snipe. I ended up having a weapons lead, and I was afraid because he had experiments that if I waited for the next production cycle, he could hit it, and I knew I could take this out if he did not proc weapons. So time was of the essence, and I was able to aggressively go in there. He reacted too soon or too late, and I was able to blow all that up. And at that point now, it's just easy pickings to finish off the rest. I was able to go ahead and defend up north here as well, and now it's this cleanup mode. So then we look at what's going on here. Jack stopped responding. He stopped investing. And so I don't wait a lot. I don't wait a long time, especially at the early stages. He seemed great. He was friendly. He was helpful. But if he's not going to be around, these stars are much better being mine than his if he's not going to be around. So as I was wrapping this up, I'm like, where do I move next? I'd like to move down to I Love Goats. I would like to clean up his. And honestly, I'm like, well, maybe I kill Misco too, but he's been so nice. He's been feeding me. He saw that I was big. And so I'm like, okay, I stick with Misco. And again, at this point, I am cycle 3. The only person ahead of me in stars. Oh, is this the whole game? Well, that's unfortunate. I won't be able to use that. Spoiler alert. Yeah, so at this point in time, we say we need to move on to our next target. And so our next target then is going to be the AFK player in Jax. And so we're cleaning up, positioning, getting ourselves stronger. We knew we were in no threat. Of being attacked. And so I could build up my industry, just build everything up without fear of retribution. And so we are now at cycle 5, and this is where I'm pushing on Jax. And again, he has some weapons, but that's it. At this point, I'm at weapons 3. Again, you can see with the tech, I'm only trading with Misco. Misco's the only person I'm really allied with. He's treating me good. He's doing his thing against the ugly feminists, fighting that battle. We're working together with my lead. I give him the tech to let him win the battle up there. And I think at this point, the ugly feminist pretty much goes AFK as well. So I'm going to zoom out a bit because what other things are happening, and this is about the time where I was confident that I was going to take over this section. I already was really big, and so you're looking around the map. And at this point in time, the other big empires over here, so Chlorophyll, which is Hex, was in the middle with Dark Lord. That was a central alliance. My communication with them was, I will call it lukewarm. They said they might work with us, but they were, I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but I remember feeling like, okay, that's not going to work out. There was what I viewed as the strongest alliance in Clanmac. Look at this crap. If you guys play this game, Clanmac, Tiernan, Kaine, all spawning near each other, and having some easy kills around them. And so, and then the other one on their group was the chiropractor. So this corner was by far the biggest threat. It's also the furthest away from me. But I was worried about them. Down in this corner, there was not the AI bot, Lasper, Anaris, Deep Six, the Shogunite. All of those were together. They're made. And the Zatox. So they were far behind overall, but that was another alliance. And then the last alliance, and a little spoiler, I ended up Gingy, who's Daywalker, with Grasshopper and Mugeye. Now those three were with Rot, but I guess Rot went AFK or something like that. So they were probably the second strongest. So if you looked at the alliances, it was the Southwest the strongest, the Northwest the second, the Southeast the third, and then just me as an individual with Misco, kind of a little Batman and Robin duo. So with that intel in mind, I wanted to align with the Northwest Alliance because I thought the Southeast was going to be too weak, plus that would be my expansion path, and I wanted them to start dealing with the Kaine Clanmac alliance, so I didn't have to deal with that and let them, kind of get them beat that down. So that's what I was hoping to do. And then as you see, I go on, as I'm continuing my negotiations, once we get to my notes here, we're on cycle 5. It was right about cycle 6. We're going to go back in here when I'm finishing off Jax and starting to push down on Goat. That you'll see this appeared, and I just formalized that. We started to share APIs, and I said, okay, you know what? He's been a great ally. Let's really formalize this, and I'm going to stick with him to the end. At this point, I was fully committed to him. And when I looked down then at Goats, I was at this point, double his money, double his industry, double his science, double his ships and production. So he basically gave up, and was really nice. He basically gave me his stars for free. And so as we're going through here, you'll see when I launched, he cleared out the path and let me take them. He abandoned stars, and that was super generous. And so now this takes us to cycle 7. And I'm still negotiating with everybody else at this point in time. I started working on, I wanted to get range to cross this threshold, so I was grouping these northern stars here because I did just have the range, but I wanted him, I think I actually went pretty soon. Yeah, I was just grouping up, there we go. And so then I launched to help him because he was struggling a little bit. Lord CO was putting up a really good fight. And if we go back, a couple days, you can see, so as the Ugly Feminist was being killed off, he's like, oh crap, 263 ships from Lord CO. I've got 23 there, and it was, he had 234 ships total. So he had more ships, Lord CO had more ships than he had overall. And so I'm like, I need to help him out. So if we go back forward here, I'm like, okay, hold up. We were hoping he wouldn't press, but he did. Misco did a great job of, for a new player, defending that off. And then I was able to launch across the gap here, give him some relief. And I think at this time we were also then starting to talk with Seth about pushing in from. He was also on an island, didn't have any friends, so he said he would push as well. And so we kind of three on one Lord CO, and at that point we're able to start taking this back. And you can see Seth at this point was on board as well, working with us. All right, so if we go back to cycle 8, down here I was pushing on Goat. Goat was just giving me the stars freely. It was really, really nice. We get to cycle 9. At this point, I'm almost set with the Northwest Alliance, and cleaning up all the Goat stars. After that, though, this person, Gray Matter, who was decently strong to start, just went AFK as well. And that's one of the things in these games, you just have to keep communicating with people, because if they don't respond, I mean, people drop out all the time. Some players are like, I'm going to wait to make sure. I give them very little time, because time is of the essence. And if you look past there, we have an AFK player there, this Confederacy of the Carnitas, who's incredibly weak. We have another AFK player here, and then this is going to be the first. The Shogunite and Zatox is that Southeast Alliance that I think I'm going to have to contend with. So my hope was to finish off these easy stars, connect here, and then I would be also able to work on the center. I would give myself some options. Meanwhile, up here we did finish off, or we're finishing off, Lord CO. Overall, and I can't pull up the intel chart, but I was at 60 stars on cycle 9. I was so incredibly strong because I was fed, I was given easy stars, and this guy gave me easy stars, so I grew. This is about as fast as you'll ever grow in a game. And my competition was Hex in the middle, who was doing great, but started to get pressure from the Northwest Alliance. You had Clanmac, who him and Kaine and company down in the Southwest were starting to pick up steam. And the problem here, if you look at like Clanmac, I was 20 stars ahead of him, but they must have been feeding him, because he was keeping up with me in science and he was keeping up with me in economy for the most part, and they were ahead in the techs. And this is the downside if you want to do this play where you just become a huge presence. You don't have allies there. Like I had one guy, Misko, who actually was struggling. He tried great, but like, it was just the two of us. We had no one else giving us tech, and so when you look down, I'm pretty impressed we did this well. You can see the weapons lead. Well, that's because I was the top science in the game. I was cranking out weapons, but everything else we were super far behind. I needed someone like Jinji on my team, because Jinji was able to get some scanning, or give me like 3 levels of terraforming and a manufacturing. That terraforming was huge, because at this point in time, I think it'll still work. No, this might, I don't know if this is accurate. My stars started getting really, really expensive, and so I was at a big problem. So if you play a game where you're going to try to take over a corner and become a boss, you do need to find another alliance that'll take you on and then catch you up on all the other techs. The advantage for them is I was ahead in weapons, and they knew that they were going to have to fight this powerhouse coming their way in Kaine and Chiropractor. They were pushing up, and Hex was strong in the middle. He had 5, and so yeah. So this was a kind of a pivotal point in the game where everyone had to pick a side, and we're at cycle 9, and I made myself an asset to them, and they were an asset to me, because I needed all the other techs. I needed more friends. You can't win this game alone. So as we go through, you'll see it's about cycle 10. Boom, right here where it lights up. We are now officially the Northern Alliance. Now I'm not the Northeast. And we're able to then, our priority is to connect. You can see they're making a beeline. I was pushing aggressively because it's going to take us some time. Cycle 11. I'm going to go back to cycle 10. But just to look at this connection here. Yeah, and at this point, I'm still 90 stars to Clanmac 61, to Gingy 60 for 58. And so it was about here when I got this star that I was able to connect. And if we go back in time, notice the difference here with Mug-Eye. I go from 4 terraforming to 7. And we get all caught right up. We get all caught up right here. So what was this magical moment in time? It's cycle 12. Cycle 12, tick 252. I'm now connected with this whole alliance. And what I wanted to do, here's the other thing you'll want to do. In a big alliance like this, especially if you are giving out weapons, you want to be able to not have to go through the daisy chain of people to get text passed around. So I have this star, which will connect me with Mug-Eye. But I don't have access to Grasshopper. I don't have access to Daywalker, and I wanted to. So I did start, and I negotiated a path west so that I could be in position to trade with them directly. Okay. At this time, when they saw this happen, because everyone else sees, they saw the moment my terraforming shot up, they said, "Oh shit, we need to react." And it was at that point in time, immediately, that this Southwest Alliance in Kaine and Clanmac negotiated that they brought on Hex, they brought on the Dark Lord, and basically this became bigger than us, or about the same as us. And so the X factor now is, if it was just the North versus the Southwest, it would be close, including the center, right? So that whole group, with my lead and their presence, we probably would have won straight up. But you can't forget Anaris and the Southeast Alliance. And they are, at this point, incredibly far behind. So if you look at Anaris, they're at 5 weapons to my 9. They're 1 behind in manufacturing, 1 behind in terraforming. They are a hot mess. Because I don't know why, but they just are. There's always one section of the galaxy that just doesn't get the trade, doesn't get consolidated quickly enough, and they are behind. However, it is still represents a quarter of the galaxy, and those stars do produce ships. And if we are basically in a deadlock, the North versus the South, the East Central, Southwest Central, they are going to decide who wins the game, and 9 times out of 10. And so I was trying to negotiate with them, and my question was, can I push into them and just take their stars before the Southwest realizes that and brings them on board? Or do I work with them and push into the center? And I thought that was my best bet. I tried and I tried, and I could not get their agreement. You'll see where that goes. So that's the situation we're at on cycle 12. So we fast forward here. We do some fancy fighting. We see the Shogunite, and the Shogunite and I have a non-aggression pact, and I was very impressed. They honored it, and it was about here that cycle 14 that they said, you know what, we're gonna join the Southwest. They honored that, and at that point you see we had finished off the North. We have Misko, a path coming down. I give it him a path, and we'll get to a problem with this, and this is a problem with mid-game to late game and a new player and them understanding. I'll show you some of the things they did that they could have done better, but you saw they were in it. They were good allies. They were trying their best. Likewise, Seth, who's a more seasoned player, was getting consolidated, and he was going to make a push to the middle to help. So we made a conscious decision to not eat them. We could have just, the four of us, decided to eat them, and it wouldn't have been super hard. They were isolated. We could have done that, but it was more important for Gingy to connect and eat up the rest of these stars over here before the southwest arrives, and they were coming. And so we couldn't waste any time. And meanwhile, in the middle, you have Mug-Eye and Grasshopper pushing on Hex, Chlorophyll. And this was an epic battle. And so let's resume. We are now at cycle 14. And really from here to cycle 17 is going to be more of the same. You're going to see, I'll show you the action. Again, remember this purple here, is that an AI? Oh, okay, the oval is a person. Actually, no, these are both people. All right, honestly, you couldn't tell, but okay, they're people. And this moment coming up on cycle 17, so you can see, and I'm going to turn my color white just for a second so you can, because the purple, there's 3 different purples, it's really hard to see. This is a pivotal moment here. So we're cycle 16. I'm wrapping up the Carnita Confederacy. Dark Lord's at my border. I know I'm going to have to fight Dark Lord. Dark Lord is part of that southwest. So at this point, I'm like, hey, southeast, come on, let's be together, let's kumbaya, we'll join the fray. They decided to join Clanmac, and partially because I had been so far ahead. And you look at me versus Clanmac, he actually passed me up in economy at this point. He was matching my science and industry. He must have been getting fed out the kazoo because I was big this whole game. There was a gap of a week where my terraforming was down, but again, I was ahead of him. But the problem was they decided that they, whatever deal, and I actually never heard the exact deal. I think it was for second place. You'll see the moment in time. We are on cycle 16. It's going to be at cycle 17, where right about here you see the warp gates click on, you see the ships start coming in. It was right here when I started to fight the Dark Lord. Now, me one-on-one against the Dark Lord, I absolutely destroy him. Double his ships, just absolutely destroy him. Up on weapons, up on terraforming. I had no enemies. I was totally secure in my base. If this flank stays secure, if the southeast does not side with the southwest, I will run right through the Dark Lord. My allies over here were starting to push in more. You'll see Chloroform Hex at this point is gone. He's down to 6-7 stars. So my allies defeated him. Right? As a matter of fact, this red here, that is my ally. That's Mug-Eye. So Mug-Eye is this is all of Mug-Eye here. So we basically won in the east, we won in the center, and we're doing okay. Gingy's doing some good work. Now the problem is he's facing Chiropractor and Kaine, 2 good fighters. I think Grasshopper is going to get range and start. He's like, Grasshopper has to stop fighting the middle because he basically was helped kill Hex. He needs to jump over and deal with this in the west. So both of these 2 need to deal with those 2, and that's going to become an epic battle. Meanwhile, you'll see here's my ship, the purple. I made it all the way from there over that whole fight, and this allows me now to trade with everyone but Gingy. I wanted to get over to Gingy too, so that's why I'm heading to this star. Still got another day and a half to go, but these stars will be pivotal for another reason as well. So when you are ahead, and again, I am ahead, Mug-Eye is 30 stars behind me. It's good to get presence across the map. That'll come into play later. So it's at this pivotal point in cycle 17 where we are winning for the most part, that the southeast, but we were just like a little bit winning, that they decide to say, okay, we're with you. And between cycle basically 18 for the next several days, for the next week, we are entrenched in war. Now, let me show you what would have really been helpful. That whole time, so we're cycle 17, I'm like, okay, I need help now. Let's see when Misko started this journey. It was cycle 13. Took 4 days. I'm like, I can go ahead and warp gate this. You can see this, but he never warp gated his star. So here we go. Watch this little ship here. Up here, I don't know what else is going on. Like it's just, we're just going down. We're going down. I might come on a warp gate it for you. Here comes another 400. Okay, now, all right, yeah, let's warp gate. All right, baby, we're in action. We are set. Except, he never warp gated this one. So, you kind of need on both ends. There it goes. Here we go. But then, those 120 decided to go back, and then Shogunite takes advantage of that, and I was able to kill that star and save it. And boom, he's able to defend it. So he does some work. But then if you look back at what's happening, I want to show you. This is what you don't do. When you have a long path like that, you take your carrier, and you route it the entire way down, drop it off, and the entire way back, and you set up multiple of those. What you don't do is this garbage. This will kill you or me. So we are at tick 737. 737, 800 ships here. He's waiting for this ship to come back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours later, they start their next leg of the journey. Okay, great. We're moving, we're going. Okay. Well, I really could use those 1,000 ships down here. I'm entrenched in battle with 3 different teams. No, let's take a look. I'm fighting the Dark Lord. Clanmac shows up. Anaris shows up. Where's the other dude? I think he's already gone. I already killed one player. The Shogunite's attacking, so I don't know how many that is. That's a lot of players. But instead... Oh, okay. Fine. That's what you do. You route it all the way down. You don't stop. You keep going. Because I need you. Your allies need you. So, back to the leaderboard. We're going to go back a couple days. You have Seth making his pathway down. Now, at this point, I'm fighting, and I know I can beat the Dark Lord. But then Clanmac shows up. And Clanmac has more ships than me because I've been fighting all these other people too. If you look at before, when was the last time I was ahead of Clanmac? He was actually ahead of me. This is a long time ago. So he must have been getting fed so hard because I was really big. And okay, yeah, so I'm bigger than him here. Bigger than him here. And here's where I start losing. Here's where he starts gaining ground. Right as I'm going to start fighting the Dark Lord. So I can beat the Dark Lord. Well, where is Clanmac? He's way down. He's not even in the picture yet. Well, here he comes. Here comes the Clanmac. I don't want to. I could fight Clanmac one-on-one, but I can't fight him with Dark Lord and the entire southeast corner. So boom, here he comes. Cycle 17. We're fighting, and at this point we're looking at cycle 18. We're still waiting for Misko to make his inefficient route south, and we'll just let this play now. We're going to go and see how it's shaping up over here. I'm kind of holding my own and make a little progress. I have a good route set up, but I needed someone to win. And we started to get pushed back because Dark Lord once Clanmac showed up, with with Clanmac, who's equal my strength plus the entire southeast corner, Dark Lord can pivot to the center. Jinji and company are fighting over in the west, and they are in this epic stalemate for the entire game. But this is where we win or lose the game in my mind, because it's me. And you can see, just looking at the colors, what's happening is green is pushing in. I can't hold him back. And so I start to lose ground. We're now at cycle 20. And it's starting to look grim. Clanmac actually takes over the lead. The Southeast Alliance at this point gets consolidated. Deep Six is pretty much AFK, I guess. Lasper conceded their stars. The Shogunite conceded. So basically, they all gave... Who's this? Oh yeah, the Zatox has one place left. Anaris ate all of the Southeast. So it became even more dangerous for me, because now I'm fighting Anaris, who's very strong, plus Clanmac, who's is strong or now stronger than me, and my ally is Misko, who is not as strong. We're losing in the center now. We're still stalemated over here, and so the question becomes, what can you do? We were basically outgunned. When Anaris decided to side with the Southwest, it sealed our fate at cycle 17. And there, I tried to negotiate with him, but his perspective was, what are you going to offer me that Clanmac won't? I can get second place, because I'm going to kill you. Both of us are going to kill you. I'm going to get second, and Clanmac's going to win. And if I side with you, I can't do better than second either. So, I mean, it's a kind of good point. I'm sad that Clanmac was able to get that done before me, because if the southeast corner, if Anaris would have sided with us, this would have been flipped, and I would have won. But instead, I have to watch all my hard work get consumed. And I won't go through the details, but you can see the blue and the green killing the purple. The orange coming in trying to help, but not that much. This was a week of every hour checking my phone, waking up, trying to figure out what I could do to make a difference. They're pulling further and further and further ahead. I'd lost all the progress I made. All this green used to be mine. This mess of blue was just pressing upon me. If you look at Clanmac, he had 20,000 more ships than me, 200 more ships an hour being produced than me. He had passed me up in weapons tech now by 2 and growing, because he had way more science than me. On top of that, I was fighting an equally powerful Anaris who had the same ship count as me and almost the same production. There's no way I'm winning this fight. The only way we could win straight up is if my allies were, and they weren't. Dark Lord came back and pushed back Grasshopper and Mug-Eye. Remember, all this section here in the middle was Mug-Eye. He lost all that ground. I lost all this ground. The only people that didn't lose ground was Jinji, and Grasshopper was helping him. This was an epic battleground, but we weren't winning. We were just stalemate. We were just stuck. And at this point, everyone was like, we can't win. We can't win as an alliance. But I'm at 103 stars. So let's do some math. At this point, I'm at 103 stars, plus 75 from Daywalker, plus 62 from Mug-Eye, plus 34 and 29, plus 34 plus 29, 303 stars. You need 292. I think I missed some in there. We had enough. We could still win by holding our ground and me taking everyone's stars. So that's what we did. And this is what that would look like. You see, you launch on every single star, and now it's up to your allies to respond. This was cycle 24. Now, the Clanmac Alliance and the Southern Alliance, they don't want that because they're going to get Clanmac first, Inara second, and either Dark Lord or Chiropractor third. They're going to get the top three because you should get your alliance to all podium. So the only thing we could do is try to force the issue and beat them in a consolidation race. So I pushed out on Misko, I pushed out on Seth with their blessing, and then I did a similar stunt with these others. And this is where, yeah, there we go, boom, fireworks. This is where I needed everyone on board. I needed everyone to agree this is how we win. Now, you'll see at this point, Jinji is a good soldier. Warp gated everything for me and paid attention. Not all of my allies did. So as we look through this, we're gonna look. Yeah, let's get the leaderboard up so we could do a little count. And I am at 122. We're gonna do a race 20, cycle 25. Can I get there? And I start to actually pull ahead. By cycle 26, I'm at 185. Seth did an outstanding job. Misko did an outstanding job. I could not be more pleased. Jinji did an outstanding job. Mug-Eye completely went AFK and did not help at all. When they saw me start doing this, they had to react in kind, and then Clanmac started to consolidate his team, which at least guarantees me second. So you can see Jinji, good job Jinji, look at all those stars turning purple. That's what you want to see. But Mug-Eye never really helped. Honestly, Grasshopper didn't really pay much attention either. And so had they done that, so if you look right now, I had time, I hit every one of those stars. So I'm at 222. Let's go back to the calculator. Had all of my allies helped me win, which again, it's not their job to help me win at that point, right? Like that's not their job. But 14 and 29 plus 14 plus 29, I could have been at 265. Yeah, I still would have been a little low. I still would need to get more Jinjis, but at least it would have been closer. Plus, I actually spent a lot of resources having to keep retrying those. If I would have got those right away, I probably would have been able to launch on Jinji. But then Clanmac just made it, and cycle 27 ended the game. And that's it. I'm happy enough with getting second place, but hopefully this was interesting to watch. An accelerated review of a game, one where I started and had a huge lead. I was isolated, talked a little bit about my logic on how to find and group with another alliance. It could have gone either way. Anaris really decided it's going to be me or Clanmac that wins. He thought his best option to do the best was to go with Clanmac, and sealed my fate. I still had a slim chance if I could have done that consolidation move, and if nothing else, that forced me at least to maintain getting second and getting some rank points. So that's it. I would love to hear feedback in the comments if you thought this format was helpful. If you'd like me to do other videos where it's not 3-4 hours of every day, but just an accelerated view of a summary of a game. This game took me 23 days to play, and I just summarized it in less than an hour. So hopefully someone will find this helpful. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, click on the link for the next episode, and don't forget to click subscribe for more content.